Tristan can look at his sector times and say I'm in, but unfortunately it's not good enough.
24 minutes in the session. My prediction now, and I stand to be corrected within 30 seconds, is that nobody's going to get a faster lap because there is a very second-hand number 89 Audi, which is the... Oh, why do I pick them? MEC Sinjig, I'm going to leave the rest, which has Audi TT, which has got very light over a crest and then written itself off on the driver's left in the barriers. John, you can say the word out loud. Oh, Flugplatz. I thought he was writing something that I really oughtn't to read out on the radio. The F and the U in too close proximity at Flugplatz, and so was the barrier. So, yeah. That's going to take a bit of dragging away. We've got 23 minutes. Are we going green? Honestly, that's going to be really tough. So anybody who's just on the bubble, and again, poor Tristan Vautier appears to be getting Vautiered out of the house on this one.
And that's the problem with just circulating on the Grand Prix loop while you're doing it, isn't it? Because if you'd been out on the circuit, then he may have been lucky and been just ahead of that incident. And even though the circuit may not have been yellow up ahead of him, at least the accident that just happened would have been behind him. But yes, very nasty looking accident that for the little green Audi TT.
I think the problem is, as it went to the left, the car immediately, rather than going into the tyre barrier and it cushioning the speed of the car, it went over the top of the tyre barrier. So it just, the tyre barrier was effectively a ramp, which pitched it into a series of rolls, and it's gone end over end, that 89 Audi TT.
And of course,
Rudy Speich, the driver.
It's done barrier damage as well, so the tyre stacks will need replacing. The car is essentially almost at 90 degrees to the line of travel and is blocking more than half of the circuit. So there is room to squeeze through, and everybody will come round and squeeze through, and hopefully not too much of a tortuous debris field for people to pick up punches and so on. But 22 minutes on the clock, I think we're going nowhere fast with that one, and I think that is pretty much going to anybody who was hovering on the outside of the top 20, and Tristan Vautier was definitely right, top 30. Vautier was definitely there. I think they're in reeked trouble. The man who's just ahead of him on the times at the moment, the number 8 WRT Audi of Lawrence Vantor, they're in anyway. Who number 2 are they in? They've made it in on pace at the moment, so unless Vautier improves, and I don't see that being likely actually. So Gigaspeed should stay in their Porsche.
Clearly a lot of damage on the circuit through which the driver's having to pick.
Gives you a family name as well in car number 202, and that is a Stuck. Which of the Stucks, I don't know, only it's not Hans Joachim. The Krankenwagen has arrived at the scene of our Audi accident. The driver is out and he's being assisted. He's walking under his own steam, but he's just being assisted on either elbow by a couple of the medical crew to get onto the stretcher to go for examination. And in the parlance, I think he probably had his bell fairly well rung by that one. Looks as though there's unlikely to be anything broken, but as the car came into Flugplatz, it was just a little the tail stepping out to the driver's right, and of course as soon as it took off then or got light over Flugplatz, then as Johnny described, it speared left into the pit wall. And as it hit the tyres, it was still on the ground at the tyres, but then there was something just before the tyres. Well,
the problem is it's part of the Armco overlap, so you're actually not hitting tyres that are at the right angle. They're about 45 degrees, and it's just ridden straight up those, and then as a result gone